Welcome back to another episode of the Block Runner Podcast. I'm your host, William, always here with your co-host, Iman.
What up, dude?
On the sticks, we got TJ.
Hello.
All right. It's another week down. We got some clarity acts, not so clear.
Yeah, kind of a letdown, right? I feel like there was a lot riding on that.
You know what else we haven't heard from? I mean, we're recording this on Thursday, January 15th, but wasn't there supposed to be some sort of Trump situation?
The tariffs?
The tariffs, yeah.
Those are also delayed.
Again?
Yeah.
Okay, so.
For who knows how long. I think all the way till like the summer or something. So
I'm thinking that it's probably positive news.
The prediction markets disagree.
Yeah, they're wrong, dude.
What's the point of them then, dude? They're not supposed to ever be wrong.
Well, I mean, if the prediction markets are supposed to tell you something, then the outcome should have been relatively soon, right?
Well, it was expected to be, but yeah, maybe this delay is some sort of indication of, I don't know, some sort of Trump magic.
Yeah,
you know, because he was literally like,
no taxes.
He was shouting like days leading up to it. Like if this doesn't go my way, pretty much the world is over. Because
I saw that.
Yeah, like literally, it's gonna be the biggest mess of all time.
Yeah, we gotta pay back hundreds of billions or something.
Yeah, so maybe some memo got to the Supreme Court justices, desks, and they're like, shit, maybe we should violate the Constitution, for the sake of
not paying back hundreds of billions.
Yeah, preserving humanity. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
But, I mean, in this day and age, Trump's, he's on quite the conquest, right? So it wouldn't surprise me that he wins this one.
Yeah, I can't recall quite a president like delivering so much, or at least doing so much, I should say.
No. In our lifetimes, at least?
No, yeah.
No, I mean.
Maybe, no, you know what? The closest one would be Obama with Osama bin Laden.
Oh, yeah?
That's doing some stuff.
Yeah.
But it took a while.
Yeah. I mean, he sent, SEAL Team 6 was on it, right?
That's right, yeah.
But still, that's like one thing. This is like, you got Venezuela, you got Iran.
Yeah.
You got Greenland.
Yeah.
You got whatever's going on between Ukraine and Russia.
I don't know if you saw that video by Andre Geic, but he explained the whole Iran thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was pretty good explanation.
What is it?
And a lot of it initially starts with oil. That's how it starts. But really, it's more about global positioning, like in the larger perspective. And so when it came to Venezuela, they were like, okay, this is our side of the planet. China can't be positioning themselves on our side of the planet, right? It's not happening.
Yeah, I guess.
And so that's why he went to Venezuela.
Sure. I mean, that seems pretty obvious, right? But I guess it's not obvious to the degree of like how in contention we are, I guess, against China. But this makes it pretty clear, right?
Yeah, I mean, he invoked the Monroe Doctrine. So it was a U.S. policy warning European powers against further colonization or interference in the Americas. So basically, our side of the globe, we can't have any enemies over here in any way.
Yeah. So I mean, in geopolitics, it's weird, right? There's this like, there's this these periods where things are peaceful. And there's much more like collaboration between different superpowers and non-superpowers, whatever, right? It feels like we've been pretty much in that era since like we've been alive.
Yeah.
It's like, we're trying to build, cross-border businesses and economies that kind of rely on each other. They're interdependent. And that's why there's no real motivation to fight one another. Right?
Sure.
Which is, you would assume to be like the good outcome for society, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we're all working together. Sweet.
Yeah.
But then there's like the other side of things where, I don't know, it makes it clear like we need to compete for whatever. Maybe it's resources. And now, we become more individualized.
Yeah.
We're striving for less interdependence and more like,
Yeah. Just going after, well, if everyone's going after the same resources, you're not going to have a good time. And,
right, but
it's
the catalyst of today has to be what? AI, right?
yeah,
It has
yeah.
to be.
It's AI and like just building chips, and it takes a lot of resources to build those chips.
Right.
Some of those resources come from Venezuela.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the resources actually come from China.
Right. Yeah. So
And so you have to collaborate. There's no other choice.
yeah. Yeah. So I think it's become clear. It's like, we've reached some sort of inflection point in our like technology capacity or technological capabilities. So I guess it makes sense that like this realization is like spilling into government,
Yeah.
and we're starting to see like a pace we've never really experienced. I don't think where
No.
there's like this much shiftenings happening like all the time.
Yeah,
Right.
they call it the fourth turning.
Yeah, there's that too. That's another like vector of haste, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the dollar is destabilizing, and there's like an actual attempt to try and
Yeah.
pour coals onto that fire. So you got to do something, right? So you would expect this. In other words, this is like very expected, but it's just I don't know. It's hard to interpret. It's just because we never experienced it before.
Do you remember TED Talks?
I do remember. Is that like not a thing anymore, or what?
Well, no, it's still a thing. As a
Okay.
matter of fact, I saw Vlad, the CEO of Robinhood.
Yeah.
He did a TED Talk. It was just released today. And he was talking about like the history of job displacement throughout, all of history. And he says that job displacement has been around since forever. And at one point, everybody was a farmer. And then another point, nobody's a farmer, right? So what's happening with AI is no different. But the only difference is this tool that we've developed with AI is the first time it can actually walk out of the toolbox. And so there is going to be a lot of job displacement, but there are going to be new kinds of jobs. However, I don't think the new kinds of jobs are going to be prolific, right? Everybody won't be able to be a technician for a robot, right?
No, I think it's. I'm starting to realize this, like in our own like efforts, like it's becoming much more clear. Like vectors of our own operations, which should be automated or which can be automated because of AI. And then it's like, okay, if certain people responsible for certain like roles within like maintaining whatever it is, marketing, business development, whatever, those people like are less burdened with like, I don't know, tedious tasks and such. Like what do you want them to do with their time? And it's starting to feel like it's much more of like the human to human contact stuff, because that's like the thing I think that obviously AI cannot replicate. Of course, it can
communicate and
it can communicate.
Yeah,
it could feel like you're interacting with some very intelligent being, and it's like offering you all this like value because it's so smart. But
I remember back in the day, the Turing test was like some like really difficult thing to like achieve, and then we sort of blew past it like it's not a big deal.
Right. Yeah.
And I saw another video with Jensen Huang, and he was talking about how his engineers at his company, he doesn't want them coding. He doesn't want anybody coding.
Yeah. So then what are they doing?
He wants the engineers to be solving problems.
Yeah.
Like I didn't hire an engineer to code. I hired engineers to solve problems. And yeah, a lot of those problems have to deal with developing applications. Therefore, you have to code. But now you don't really have to code. And so now he's completely happy with everybody at NVIDIA not coding anything.
Yeah. So what is that process of solving more problems, right? Because there already were people at the helm of basically, those are the strategists, I guess, of a company organization.
Everybody becomes a strategist. So you have like the overall problems where you kind of focus a lot of monetary power to that. But then you have all kinds of tiny problems that your other engineers who are not focused on the bigger deal to solve those problems without having to spend a lot of time coding.
Yeah, so you just expanded like the top end, I guess, of like the corporate hierarchy. Typically, or it used to be like just a few real decision makers, and then they would funnel down like their I don't know, their assumptions through
they would just like
orderly tasks.
Dictate. Here's my development team, and here's the problem that we're solving. You do this and you do that. But now everybody doesn't really have to go and do the work, right? Do the tasks.
Yeah, but maybe that's also a problem, right? You have like more competing
Sure.
ideas. It makes like decision making even more challenging because there's
Well,
more people.
I think that's even a good thing. If you have competing ideas, it's like, okay, if you disagree, just
Yeah.
go and do it. Build it and let's see what actually works.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's like like a higher degree of meritocracy.
Yeah, it's more like
Granular.
A and B testing, I guess. It's like
Yeah.
instead of one guy and his like strategy and his roadmap conclusion, like what we should do as a company, it's like now you have 20 of them and they all have Claude, Ralph plugins.
Yeah.
They could all just iterate on their ideas, and now we have them all. We spend like a week individually kind of building out like what it is we think we need to do to solve this problem or whatever.
Yeah.
Now we can analyze all these options as opposed to we only have one.
That's right.
We have a slew of potential solutions here. So
yeah,
I guess that's it.
yeah,
right?
I think that's way better.
I think so. Sounds like it. Sounds healthy.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
but then it's like, well, do I really need 10 engineers to develop 10 different apps? Like, I don't know, maybe not.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like then you're still paying 10 guys.
Yeah, right.
When you could have just paid the one guy.
But then the output is like 10x per guy.
Maybe, possibly.
So it could still be worth it.
Yeah, so these are the dynamics I'm sure like
and
everybody's kind of like adjusting to.
Also, there's a lot of developers out there who don't have any creativity. They're really good at doing what they're told to do, but they're not good at solving problems.
Right. Just that's not just developers, just like
for everybody
across the board.
Developers are the most capable, but they're just being a developer isn't enough, is what I'm trying to say.
For sure. Yeah.
And so I think what happens is the real problem solvers out there who aren't developers, well, now they can solve more problems.
Yeah. Yeah. I suppose, but you're saying if a developer who isn't creative can't really contribute on that end, then they're easily cloudable.
Yeah.
So then, what do you do with that person?
Yeah.
How do you retrain that person to like refactor their mental process to problem solving as opposed to like just execution?
Doing the work. Yeah, execution. Yeah. I don't know.
Is that even possible? Is that like something like you're just born with? Like that innate desire to solve problems, or is that like a trait that can be?
I think it can be learned for sure. I think I think there's very little like natural talent, very little. And even if you have natural talent, you still have to work a ton, right? Like Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, they weren't just like sitting on the couch, right, doing nothing just because they had a ton of talent, right? So I think when it comes to these developers who have this skill, I think they've enabled themselves with this superpower of AI, but they really need to work on like where the deficiencies are, like solving problems.
Yeah, well,
you're forced to do that. I mean, just like everybody else, everybody's forced to kind of adjust to AI. There's no way around it.
Yeah, it's quickly becoming like more existential, right? You feel it every day.
Yeah. Yeah. This is like FOMO, falling behind. This is like one of those situations where if you fall behind, it's like you're done.
Yeah. I mean, I see it on the timeline. It's a similar euphoria to what I remember when I first got into crypto.
Yeah.
Like it felt like, back in 2017 days, everything was miraculous. Every new proposed use case for blockchain technology was like, holy shit, we're going to reinvent supply chains. We're going to reinvent finance. Like everything was like astronomically profound. Right. Yeah. And it's like, holy shit, we're in the right place at the right time. We're going to do it.
Yeah.
And then 10 years happened, maybe some percentage of those things actually came to fruition. But yeah, that is not the same vibes and culture that's existent today. But in the AI space, that is 100% what's happening over there, right? It's eerily similar. Right?
It is the feeling. It is similar, but I think the potential is very different. Because let's take 2017, that euphoria you're feeling or you felt at that time, but you combine that with the ability to execute via AI, all that stuff that was blue skies and rainbows, you could actually do it now.
Yeah.
Versus, can you collect a team? Can you collect the right developers? Do they have the right specific knowledge, smart contract development? Do they have all this stuff? And if yes, then you have a shot.
Right.
But even doing that is very difficult.
Yeah.
And so now with AI, you don't need all these like human bodies. You could just go and try to execute it yourself. And AI can't develop everything yet. It's not good at chip design, not yet at least. Yeah. So there's still some growing to do.
Yeah, for sure. But still, we're here nestled in, just kind of waiting for the for this generation of new utilizers to really, I guess, produce something of like clear new like value opportunities, I guess. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I don't know if it's like we need a Cambrian explosion of all of a sudden people care about like the metaverse again. They're all tinkering and building 3D spaces and stuff like that. That's the signal. It's like, okay, that means humanity has grasped what AI is capable of, and self-trained and self-motivated or whatever. And like all of a sudden some dead industry has been brought back to life.
Yeah. Yeah, right? You shared a tweet where this guy, and I'm going to paraphrase it, he's basically saying the metaverse, but vibe coded.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like some realization is like, hold on a second, guys. It's like, what if we all just decided to vibe code the metaverse? Like, all of us. It's like, we're all just the devs.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, what if? Like, what would happen from that?
You can do that.
Absolutely, but I don't think enough people have, for one, like, seen that as an opportunity.
Yeah.
As, like, today, the opportunity that people seem to be gravitating towards is, like, just vibe coding Web 2 apps.
A to-do app.
Yeah, some sort of new Calendly.
Yeah.
Some new, like, this is, I need to eat my Wheaties.
I've seen someone vibe code a whole new browser.
Yeah. I mean, they're going crazy with it, right?
Yeah.
But what that tells me is, like, there's an obvious lack of originality out there. It's just like, now that I have the ability to code, I'm just going to copy what already exists.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's, like, very disappointing.
I agree. Yeah, it's just like you copy what exists, but I think in addition to the copies, which they're just trying to vampire attack.
A little bit of that, and maybe it's just like it's part of the training process too, like collectively. Yeah, it's like it's way easier to just try and replicate something as opposed to building something completely novel from the ground up, right?
Yeah, so you can't just like vibe code something brand new that no one's built before.
I mean, you probably could, but it's like way more difficult, right?
It is, yeah, for sure.
And then it's like everybody's trying to get their bearings straight, right?
Yeah.
But I think the process post this like bearings phase, it's like, okay, holy shit, these people are right. It's like the metaverse is a space that really has no reference, minimal reference. So it's like,
reality.
It's Roblox. That's about it. That's the only reference point you have of like successful 3D development, I guess, in like an open source economy sense. So it's like, it's really an open canvas opportunity for people to use that power of AI and to produce, again, some new value that didn't exist before. Right?
Yeah, so I was thinking about that tweet, and I was like, yeah, I agree, and we should be vibe coding the metaverse. There's no other choice, right?
All of us, yeah.
However, I don't think it makes sense for all of us to arbitrarily just build stuff.
Yeah. What are we getting? Yeah, what are we doing?
Yeah. You can't just throw up a 3JS and like think that you're building the metaverse.
It's like one guy's like working on like some zoo land. It's just like animals.
Yeah, it's like come to my server and then you get to see animals. It's like
but why not though? Isn't that like the equivalent of like, you know, YouTube in its early days, and like everybody had the ability to create a video and upload it to the platform. And so it's like one person's like literally, I don't know, he's just like flexing in the mirror. It's like, this is hot, right? It's that's his video.
Yeah.
You know, I'm the prototype of a fitness influencer before they even existed.
Yeah.
And then there's like others, like, I don't know.
Well, I guess it goes back to what the definition of the metaverse is. It's like a multiplayer experience, right? First. But if we all join this room with a bunch of animals, like that's like one person's like vision.
Dreamscape?
Yeah, vision of a world, right?
Yeah.
But what about my vision?
Work on it. and then like publicize it.
Now we have separate rooms, right? That's not a metaverse.
It's not, but at least it's something, right? It's like you're.
I think we've already had that though. Is what I'm trying to say. In addition to all this stuff,
when
the capable developers, they've built stuff before.
But there wasn't like a market meta, if you will, or like some sort of like meta trend of like a mass collective of people like pursuing that. Well, even though there's not like a cohesive platform for it yet.
I think it's because it's really complicated and difficult and expensive. Yeah. That's
exactly
part of the reason.
Yeah, but AI is fix that problem, right?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean we should all just like separate and like go into our little rooms and just like.
Does it? Why not?
I mean, we will. That will happen. It's just I don't think it's constructive. So the question is, what do we do about that, Will? And then you use digital matter. That's what you do about it. That way, everyone at least builds.
I see. There's some sort of framework.
There is some sort of underlying rule base that we all follow.
Yeah, I mean that would help for sure. But I'm more so envisioning like a period even before that where people realize like, damn, we need something to like cohesively latch all this effort together.
Yeah.
In some shape or form.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to organically arrive that. I think someone needs to actually implement something better. And it's like, okay, I get it now.
For sure. And I think that's something we would do and we will do, right?
Yeah.
We will strive to do because we know that to be the right course, I guess. But I'm imagining still like there's going to be a period where these current day generation vibe coders, they get bored of just building new Calendlys or new whatevers, new notions.
Yeah.
New whatevers. And they're going to have like a realization. It's like, let me just try some new 3D thing. And then it's going to be a competition, just like TikTok, right? It's a competition of like who can create the next viral dance.
Sure.
Or the next viral whatever. That's the whole purpose of TikTok. So yeah, there's no like real platform where all the eyeballs can just like doom scroll through all these attempts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's basically what Roblox is. It's like,
yeah, it is. Yeah,
it provides the environment and like the toolings for people, creators, UGC creators. You just spin up new iterations of virtual experience, right? And the kids with their tablets are all day just doom scrolling through like the lobby, trying to find the next thing that like resonates with them. And like that is the current day metaverse as of right now. So it's like,
yeah. So
why wouldn't that happen beyond the grips of Roblox because of vibe coding potential?
Yeah, maybe that is what tech allows. It's an application with a list, right? So it's like
like a feed.
Yeah, like a feed.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is the metaverse. You pick the room that you want to join, and then that's it. And probably the only thing that is consistent between the different rooms is like your avatar.
Yeah. Your avatar, your name.
And maybe that's like
your social clout.
Gen 1.
Right? Yeah.
Like Web 1 of, the internet. It's the Metaverse 1.
Exactly.
Meta 1.
Yes. This is how I imagine like the 90s internet was, right? Everybody just had the ability to create a web page, right?
They had they had the ability, but no one had the capability to build it.
Right, it was still very difficult.
Super nerds were
the
building
super nerds
websites.
were building websites in their own.
They're hosting their own servers. They're buying servers and they're putting in the room and
they're building like forum boards.
Yeah.
They're building their own native communities for their own like web ecos.
Yeah.
Right. But eventually, fast forward 10, 15 years into like the maturation of the internet.
Sure.
They became mega platforms like Facebook and Instagram, and so all the little indie zones just faded away.
Sure, yeah.
So it's kind of like the metaverse needs its pre-Facebook era where it's just people are just iterating.
Well, AI is definitely going to do that then.
I agree. I'm waiting, dude. I'm like, come on, humanity. Like, why are we building freaking, I don't know, just uninspiring apps? But I get it because it's so new.
Yeah.
You can't just like jump from having this ability to, I don't know,
like building the metaverse.
Yeah, there's a process.
Yeah, as you know how when you're learning something, everyone keeps saying the best way to learn is to like actually do it. like this, it's never been more true than about AI, like learning AI.
I can agree.
You cannot just learn about people just building a browser or
you can't just watch like 20 YouTube videos about like how to use N8N.
Yeah, you can't.
How to use Claude code. And it's like, all right, I get it. And then like, why isn't anything happening?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Where's my app?
Yeah, where's my automation? I mean, I watched 20 YouTube videos. How come my stuff is not automated?
Yeah, this guy said I could replace my whole like marketing department.
Yeah.
It's like they're all still showing up. It's like, what happened? I thought AI was revolutionary.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you actually got to go in and like start deploying.
Yeah, and that's, you know, it's not surprising, right? That's the case. And like if you want to learn how to code, you don't learn how to code by like reading books and like you don't do that. You say I want to make a game. And by the desire of making the game, you'll figure out how to make the game and you kind of work your way backwards.
Right.
Right. And so the same thing applies with AI. It's like I need to automate marketing. So it's like, okay, what's the output? How do you arrive at the output through AI? Like that's what you got to figure out. And then you have to actually implement it. And yeah, it's not going to be the best in round one, but that's the point is you start it and then you start fixing along the way. And then all of a sudden you have automation.
Yeah, it's a process. And luckily it's probably going to be a much quicker process because like even our own core developer here, like, you know, the way he learned how to code is like he grew up playing video games, right?
Yeah.
And then like being in those early days of like forum message boards and like people talking about like how they could build their own games, right? And then it's like, oh shit, it's like, I guess you have that sudden realization, like as long as I learn how to code, like one day I could start building my own games. Like that's pretty neat, but it took like 5 to 10 years of like honing in on that ability to actually produce something that's like decent. Right?
Yeah, that's exhausting.
Yeah, imagine
really thinking about it like that.
What, having to do like 5 or 10 years of like grunt work just to be able to like have like a MVP of some kind that's like decent.
Yeah, like you've seen me vibe code, and you've seen the code it produces.
Yeah,
like imagine having to write every line of that code.
Right. Yeah. So explain that to me. What are your thoughts about that? Like, do you have some newfound like love for your brother as a result of this? Think about it, because it's like he had to do it the hard way, right?
Yeah.
It's like, does that definitely elucidates a bit like the amount of effort.
Well, I already knew that it took a lot of effort. I mean, it's like when you play a game, you're in this 3D environment and you're wondering, is like how is it that text in like a specific syntax leads to this 3D environment where I can just shoot people? Like, how is that possible? I don't understand.
Right. Yeah. Like the fact that anybody does is like, what's wrong with this guy? You know? How did he figure that out?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how like text in like a specific order leads to Halo.
It's a lot of text. Dude.
Yeah, I just don't understand how that works.
Right.
And so now you could just kind of vibe code a game and it just develops that text for you. I don't know, that I've always had respect for developers. Like I knew it was like a very difficult thing to do, and they're like the biggest superpower there is in the world is being a developer. But now that everybody's a developer, now that everyone's a developer, it's like, I don't know. My question is more like, do you feel like you wasted your time? And I don't think that's the case. I don't think any developer feels like they wasted their time.
Yeah, I still feel like because of the level of difficulty and like diligence and discipline, I guess all those, whatever those traits are that are prerequisites for you to not only learn how to develop, but like actually produce value from that superpower, is like those are still things that remain with you, even in the era of like AI and automation, all this stuff, right? So like these are still superpowers.
The biggest analogy, or the most like illustrative analogy, is becoming a truck driver, right? Imagine you're trying to become a truck driver today. Do you think that's a good idea?
I don't know. I saw that Robovan. What's it called? Robovan?
Robovan?
Yeah. Yeah, the Tesla. Yeah, no. Those little Twinkies on wheels. That's going to change everything when it comes to transportation. You know, the future is just going to be straight Twinkies flying around, just transporting goods.
Sure. But I'm even talking about like the 18-wheelers.
Well, a giant version of it, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a big moon pie. I don't know.
But that would be a terrible way to spend your time.
Yeah, but you could say that literally about anything. It's like then learning how to.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know, freaking
how to cook.
Yeah,
yeah.
There's people in culinary universities all over the world right now.
Waste of time.
Well, even surgeons.
Surgeons waste of time.
He said within 3 to 5 years, there will be more like robots out there.
I'm gonna try to find this video. Man, it's gonna be. Let me try to find this. So CES just occurred over the last week and a half or whatever, and there was a video I saw about showcasing the dexterity and the accuracy of robots.
And then did you see what that Jason, I forget his full name, from All In Podcast said? He was reacting to his recent visit to Tesla, where he saw Optimus robot. I forgot. I don't even know why I brought him up because I totally forgot his reaction. But it was basically that once he saw what Optimus is capable of and what it will be capable of in the near future, that people will know, they will not remember Tesla as like a car company, is what he said.
For sure.
Like at all, because of this product of Optimus is just going to transform things to such a degree that yeah, the cars that this company brought to market, that was like an afterthought. Right?
Yeah,
So he must have seen something that's pretty, or maybe he's just like an investor trying to pump his bags. I don't know. It could be one of the two.
Yeah. I mean,
it's like a heavy Tesla stockholder.
I think when you compare a car company to a robotics company, long-term robotics is you're going to sell billions of robots per year.
God.
You're not going to be selling billions of cars per year.
That's true. Well, yeah, because you only need as many cars as humans, right? I guess. But it's like.
Well, and you don't replace your car every year.
True.
Well, not only that, I mean, I could use like 3 or 4 robots at my house. I could. I don't need 3 or 4 cars.
Yeah, that's just you. And imagine like companies, right? Like how many robots are they going to need? Like companies that are working on, I don't know. It's like, that's probably going to be the first like company that Tesla like fully automates. It's like, because none of the oil companies that exist want to actually go to Venezuela and deal with like the fracking requirements, because apparently that oil is like just like sludge or pure black tar or something. It's going to cost so much money and effort to actually make it lucrative.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm pretty sure Trump's going to like task Elon's like, dude, just deploy your bots over here and create like a robot swarm.
Yeah.
that just operates this whole industry of oil in Venezuela for me. And then he's going to do it.
Yeah.
Why? Because they're pals, dude. I guess.
For sure.
They seem to have lots of dinners together, right?
Yeah, and I saw a robot where you stick your arm in, you stick your arm in, and the robot takes blood from you, and it's like 100% accurate, fast, and it's like very, very effective. So I can't find this one video, but imagine that. So you have a robot holding like a plate, right? On that plate is like 6 glasses, six like wine glasses, and in those wine glasses is wine. And so you have that plate, and the robot has that plate, and it's just like tilting the plate around. And then with his other hand, he's got like a needle that is going around each wine glass as the thing is tilting. And so first, he's not spilling any wine.
Yeah.
The glass is not like falling all over the place. And at the same time, he's like weaving a needle between the glasses as it's moving. And then you realize it's at slow motion, and then it goes fast, and it's like moving like extremely fast. And there was just a representation of how these surgery robots are going to be like 1,000 times more superior than like a regular human.
Yeah, but I want to see it play that knife to hand game. You know, it's like,
Oh yeah.
I want to see that. That's
Yeah.
gonna really sell me.
Not only that, it's like put a real hand in there.
Oh no, dude. Yeah, like whoever the CEO of that robot company is, like Elon. It's like, doom.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's like
See,
you can't even see.
He loses all his fingers.
It's like shit. Yeah, that was a worse demo than the Cybertruck.
Yeah, if its past demos are any indication.
That's how it would go down, dude. It's like fuck. And then he's like, you know what? Here's a new announcement of like Neuralink tech where he like holds up his nubs and then like fingers just start growing.
Yeah.
It's like, man, you guys stop fading me. Give me all your money.
Yeah.
Because I'm just building alien tech over here.
Yeah. I'm really excited. I'm really excited for what's happening. It's scary, but
yeah, well, this is what I mean. This is why we, you know, from a geopolitical standpoint, why things are so in like a state of, we're no longer in that era of like peaceful gatherings, peaceful collectivism amongst like superpowers and nations, because I think like the knowledge of what's at stake here, like in the future aspect of like, you know, who's actually going to usher in this new technology era and basically govern and control most aspects of it.
Yeah.
It's like that's what's up for grabs, and that's what the big competition's all about, right? And then there's like clear resource bottlenecks to all this stuff, energy requirements and all that. So it's like that's the new game we're on, right, guys? It's like that's what's on the risk board, you know?
Yeah.
Literally. It's like, oh, this little country over here has all the right minerals needed to make all the right chips. So it's like, you know, that country needs some freedom. You feel me? It's like, so we're going to spin up like a 6-month campaign to kind of like, you know, get the public to understand, you know, there's some corruption there.
Yeah, for sure.
It needs some cleaning up, right? And then we're going to show up, swoop in our Blackhawks and in our microwave guns or whatever the hell it was that got people just suddenly bleeding and vomiting.
Yeah, distribute freedom.
To secure or to move our little, you know, player on the risk board.
Sure.
And that's it. It's like that's what's happening, guys.
Yeah.
And that's the way it's always happened. But again, in our lifetimes, this is not what was happening.
Yeah, that reminds me. I saw another video where this guy was talking about this geopolitics, and that he was just like using the word power projection as if like you know, just like nonchalantly.
So have you read like Jason Lowery's book?
Yeah,
basically?
exactly.
Yeah.
And what was clear to me was that he was using these words, but it was in the context of like, if you don't do this, you're basically not a country that's participating in the global, like, you know, space.
Sounds a lot like what AI people say. It's like yeah,
and it's so critical that these countries that are positioning themselves, whether it's like actual warfare or it's AI or crypto, they have to actually project power. Like there is no other way to kind of figure things out. And so I think it's just interesting that when it comes to this AI stuff, like this is a real race, and we end up benefiting, but also destroying like what we built too. So it's kind of weird.
Yeah, this is definitely a dance of some kind. Right? Yeah, it's like, you know, Russia is over there saying things like, you know, if the war between Russia and Ukraine persists the way it has for another year or two, then we are for sure going to be nuclear striking Germany and the UK. Like, these are actual words that came from like the top strategist in the Russian military or something like that. And like nobody's talking about this, but it's like an actual thing.
Yeah.
It's like a real thought. It's not like a secret one. It's like they're projecting this understanding. It's like, guys, you know, NATO. I was like, if you guys don't put pressure on Ukraine and basically give in to our demand so that we can move our risk piece to where it needs to go so that we can compete here on this race we're talking about.
Yeah.
And don't forget, it's like we have these nuclear weapons and we're gonna use them, right? And I think like humanity at scale is like you don't take those cautions seriously because it's like who would do such a thing, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I mean-
I don't think it's so. It kind of reminds me of like what happened with the pandemic. It's like even though it may not seem as deadly to some people, you still need to consider it seriously
yeah,
because what if
similar? Yeah, for sure.
what if it is deadly, right?
Yeah.
And it kills 40% people
Yes,
because you didn't take it seriously.
100%.
So if some country is threatening nuclear strikes, you got to take it seriously.
Very seriously. Or like this should, like everybody should be kind of like having discussions about like, all right, how do we mitigate this situation to some degree to prevent that from happening? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is what I'm talking about. And then meanwhile, we got robots.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of distractions too. There's people getting shot in Minneapolis, right? Riots.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's hard to keep your head straight and like focus locked in on crypto.
Yes.
With all this going on, right?
Yeah, Twitter's been, very helpful to like uncover these things. But man, what a distraction Twitter is. Because like all this like exaggerated stuff that people say, like it's just not even accurate or relevant to like most things.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just I remember a time where Twitter was like actually very useful and there was like a lot less exaggeration.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was always there, dude.
Maybe. and they, Twitter just like cut off Cookie and what's that other one?
Kaido? Yeah, they nuked all like SocialFi plugins basically.
All of them. They all went down like 20%.
God dang. Why did they do that?
I think
because
it was too much slop on on Twitter.
Well, because it was literally like these mechanisms were built to incentivize just output
Yeah.
tweets in
Low value tweets.
Yeah, to game some sort of a reward loop.
Yeah.
That is what was happening. And then Kaido and Cookie.fun, no, not .fun, just Cookie. I don't know if it's .fun.
Yeah, I don't know either.
It's just Cookie.
Yeah,
Whatever.
Cookie DAO.
Yeah, Cookie DAO. There you go. Sorry, there's a lot of .funs out there. My mind is washed.
It's like funned out.
Everything's just fun. Yeah. But yeah, it's like now those APIs no longer exist. You can't
Yeah. And Twitter APIs are very expensive. They're like $5,000 a month. But you can't just like scrape it. But I feel like there's going to be ways people figure out how to, run a browser and do object character recognition, OCR, with an AI, and then they can just still take all the data on Twitter.
Right. Yeah. I mean, still, so in light of all this stuff, crypto, even though it seems like it's much less relevant in comparison to AI and all this stuff, still, there will be a cross-section between the two. Like, it's inevitable.
Well, I mean, if an AI were to partake in the Web3 space, an AI can get a crypto wallet and start partaking, right? You can't get a bank account, so
yeah. So that's the whole X402 argument, right? And like, why you would feasibly, under that expectation, like really pay close attention to things that are being built on Base.
Yeah,
and Solana in context of who has access to these rails. They exist in different formats and whatever, but nonetheless, it's like okay, yeah, we could build. Or we're much closer to agentification than we were a year ago when these like ideas first like came to be.
Yeah.
Because of the progress of like Web2 AI companies and such. So it's like we're getting closer to some sort of like breakthrough point in the market where people or entities or whatever start producing these agents that are built on Web3 rails that actually strike some kind of nerve out there. In the same way, like, NFT artists 4 years ago started producing cool collections and things that really captured, the nerve of the zeitgeist, right? So we're going to get there. Like in my mind, it's like, it's certain, right? It's just a question of, we're seeing early iterations of it, I guess, through like, the last video we did on Bags app.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up, yeah.
Yeah, there's some developers there. They're not agents yet. you know. But they're early developers taking notice of like the opportunity of Web3's supplementary value add to like AI development.
Yeah, yeah.
So it starts there.
Yeah, bags, has recently been interesting just because what I like about what's happening with vibe coders is that they have a different business model. And I think with vibe coding, you have to come up with a different business model because if you're going to, let's say, copy some Web2 app just because you're not going to compete with them on a subscription basis, which is the Web2 business model. Right? If everything becomes commoditized, you need to come up with a business model that completely eliminates your competition. Like it's obviously better. And so I think things like, Bags app and, using these token launches and leveraging the volume against the token to pay the creator, that's like a business model. I don't know how sustainable that will be, but I think there's a shot there.
Yeah.
So the sustainability, I think it's that's why people like subscriptions, or at least companies like subscriptions a lot. As a matter of fact, even Elon, he says that they're not selling full self-driving as like a one-time fee, like $8,000.
Mm-hmm.
They're not selling that anymore. They're requiring everybody to pay $100 a month forever for full self-driving after February 14th.
So everybody who owns a Tesla, pretty much.
Yeah. So if you've already paid the package, of course you don't have to pay.
Right.
But everyone else, future Tesla purchasers, the only way to get full self-driving is to pay $100 a month.
I see.
So what does that mean? They chose a subscription model, partly because the United States isn't paying that $7,500 like tax incentive to purchase an electric vehicle. So if they can't make that money, or they can't incentivize people to buy it for $7,500, they're like, okay, well, we need a way to sustain our revenues if people aren't going to be buying cars as often as they were because of the no discount.
Yeah, it's just much more difficult, I guess, to come up with like a lump sum amount of money to that degree than it is for $100 a month added to my burn rate. That's expected.
Yeah.
This is normal human life at this point.
Yeah, and so I guess my
burn
point
me to nothing.
Yeah, my point is that if with vibe coding, since everything is easy to build, you got to come up with a new business model that really dominates the incumbents.
Yeah, and that's not to say like these creator capital markets, internet capital markets, whatever, like that's the finished product, the finished iteration of what you're envisioning as like a perfect go-to-market, model that fits in the new era, right?
Yeah.
Which is much less like I don't know, Silicon Valley VC dependencies, that lead up to like these super overvalued valuations because we're in like an AI bubble of a sort. So it's like for most startups, like that is your means to get into production mode. It's just, let me just attend a bunch of these pitch meetings to a lot of these VCs that are just frothing at the mouth to kind of like, throw their darts wherever they may lay. And I'm going to get my get from that and I'm up and running. Right. But that will inevitably run its course, like all like, hype cycles do. And then it's like, okay, how do I actually like bootstrap things, get off the ground, especially if I'm not like part of that Silicon Valley nexus, right? I'm just some developer in Ohio or Wyoming or I don't know, some corner of the woods where it's like, I don't have a network here that I could just pitch my ideas to and raise, $20 million.
For sure.
But that's a lot of human capital who has access to these tools that's being ignored and not serviced, right? And not like factored into this new economy we're building.
Yeah, and the cost to build anything is like drastically reduced.
Yeah.
And you don't need, like a quote unquote technical founder anymore.
Yeah, you need somebody again who has those traits we talked about, who, the developers who've now like their superpowers have been like taken from them.
Yeah.
But they still have their superpowers for real. Like, so
they do, yeah.
It's people like that have those built-in qualities who are like, motivated and they're disciplined and they're focused and they're, they're not out there partying on Friday and Saturday night. They're locked in And that's like what they prefer, right?
Yeah.
Because they're motivated and like they have ambition. So all those things are still part of you, right? But now you just need to learn how to equip with these tools, and then you have the ability to be a unicorn, but you need the right market to be like to facilitate that I guess that realization, that actualization, right? Because you don't have one thing you may lack is like, I don't know, the ability to form networks and
good speaking ability and all that stuff.
Yeah. So that's the opportunity of like all of Web3 and people building platforms that are launching projects around these AI developers and stuff. Like that is what you can like make come to fruition. Right?
Yeah. One thing I think about a lot is like where's the moat? Like if you're a VC and you're looking to invest in some of these projects, like you're looking at all these projects and you know that people can just vibe code a competitor for the most part.
Yeah.
So it's like, why would you invest in that? And so where the moat is, and then Google, they just recently announced that they have an AI which has access to all your photos, all your emails, has basically your browser access, and through Chrome, and it builds an AI assistant that is very, very good because it knows all this stuff about you. And so they spent the last 20 years collecting all that information. And I feel like that's like the moat of the future is that data. And so that's why it's kind of surprising how Apple has really fallen behind here, because they've also spent 20, 30 years collecting data too. And, they're not really participating in this AI race.
Yeah.
So hard that they had to partner up with Google. So yeah, I mean, it's I think so many sectors in the economy, including the VCs, they have to like rethink strategies now.
Yeah. All of us.
Everybody.
Yeah, it's fun times, right?
Yeah, I mean, could you pick another time you'd rather live in?
I mean, the 70s look kind of cool. Disco seemed pretty rad.
No way, dude.
No? You don't want to rock around with some bell bottoms and like, do one of these from time to time?
No.
Get a nice afro going?
Not at all, dude.
Okay, then I guess that's it, dude.
Yeah.
That would be probably my only candidate of like other times.
Yeah,
like
maybe
witness the birth of rock and roll would have been pretty cool.
Nah. No, I don't think so.
No?
But the 70s, if you were like an investor, probably would be a good time.
Yeah,
but you would have to know to like just invest and kind of forget.
Yeah, invest in like IBM.
Yeah.
Like, whoever's producing these like block warehouses of computers.
That's right, yeah.
That's the company of the future. I like
well, even 70s Apple was around, but they were struggling hard.
Freaking babies, dude.
Yeah, they're
still in the garage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. So do we have time to get into some
What's the ETA?
Got about 7 minutes left.
Yeah, let's jump in.
All right.
All right, so we're gonna do a little battle here.
I gotta get my bearings straight. Uh-oh.
Yeah, you better flex those fingers, dude.
I mean, I've kind of eroded my fingering ability these days. You feel me? I don't have quite a twitch anymore, dude. I don't even know.
So I'm gonna activate Monster just to keep it entertaining.
Okay, well, first, can you explain what the hell we're getting into here?
So we're running the TRAC network.
Oh, really?
We're running it. You're running it too, by the way.
If I could figure out how to open it, let's see. Damn it, is it here? There it is. All right, I'm in. I'm leaving something, and I'm joining some other thing right now. All right, what are we looking at here, dude?
So you're joining.
Yeah. First of all, your name is Will the Thrill, dude. We gotta talk about that.
Thriller Manila, dude. Do you know who that is?
Muhammad Ali?
That's right.
Is that where that's inspired by?
Pretty much.
Well, I didn't know that. I didn't know you had a Muhammad Ali
like affiliation.
Infatuation. Yeah, I didn't know that.
All right, I see you in there, Clyde Frog.
You know where that's from?
Clyde. Is it from South Park?
Oh, I nailed it. That's
Oh.
right.
Mhm.
That's
It's because of Clyde, right?
no, that's Cartman's frog. His little
His name is
stuffy.
Clyde Frog?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there is a character named Clyde, but
I thought it was him.
it's not. Gotta brush up on your South Park lore, dude. But you got further than I was expecting, so well done.
All right, so I'm in there. So we're gonna battle out Doom. And by the way, wait, can you?
What the heck?
Oh damn, that was scary. So we are.
Wait a second. There's creatures in this one.
Yeah, I activated creatures so that
So it's like semi-challenging.
yeah, so that
I think it makes things like,
does it?
wait, I'm already about to die. And I haven't even found you yet.
Well, you gotta survive. It's like the zombie horde.
Oh no, dude. This game is
Yeah,
hard,
I'm actually
man.
kind of struggling here.
Yeah, you're crushing it, dude.
I just died. Yeah.
Oh, I got a shotgun here. So
So the idea is to find each other because Doom is such an old game. In their multiplayer deathmatch mode, they didn't like really consider design too well.
no. So what happened here is we're running Doom on the TRAC network, and so because we're running on the TRAC network, we can actually use a peer-to-peer
that you?
connection
No, it's not you.
to actually play against each other.
Yeah.
And so I'm running a game here that has enemies enabled.
Right.
Yeah, I just picked up a weapon there. And oh no, okay, now we're restarting to
I didn't
another
do
level.
that.
Yeah, that was me. That was me.
Maybe the monsters won't. Nope, I heard one.
Yeah. Okay, I just died.
Right, dude.
All right, so let's try one. Let me end the match. Let's try one without the enemies.
Yeah, we're trying to get our 1v1 on, dude. Not 1v environment. You know?
So it's cool because you can. So, did you play Doom when you were growing up at all? Like,
Well, I had an older brother who hogged the computer, the only computer in the house.
You
So
watched him play.
yeah,
Doom.
I vaguely remember watching him play this game, and I was like, that seems neat.
but you saw him play Doom, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. But at that time, you couldn't strafe. And you had to use like the arrows to like turn, and then you use the space bar to shoot.
Yeah.
And that was about it, right? But in this game, you can actually strafe. You're using the mouse, things like that. But what's also interesting is that you can actually play co-op. So now you can like experience the whole game.
Yeah.
And with buddies.
I mean, that's our favorite thing.
It is.
Playing Halo co-op's pretty swell,
Yeah.
But that's like.
But that's
20 years into the future technology. Well, not 20, maybe like 10. That's
well,
about
that
10.
was late 80s.
What, Doom? It
Yeah.
was late 80s?
Yeah.
Holy shit. I thought maybe it was like 92 or something, 94.
Well, yeah, that's when it got popular.
That's when
okay.
games lasted a little longer than they do now.
Yeah.
I see.
Okay, I see you in there. So we're gonna play now. It's 1v1.
All right, monsters be gone. Now we can really find out who's really about it, dude. I mean, but again, all hosted in this peer-to-peer environment on TRAC, right?
Correct. So I'm gonna zoom in here so we can.
So we're supposed to have like a death match with Benny at some point.
Yeah.
So this is us kind of like practicing.
He thinks he's gonna kill us.
I mean, based on my handles here, I think you might succeed unless I could quickly adapt, because this is terrible. This trackpad experience.
Yeah, this trackpad is not the way, dude.
This is the worst, dude.
Yeah, this is not the way.
All right, well, I'm at.
I just picked up the rocket launcher, by the way. So.
No, man, let's fair fight it. Just pistols.
Pistols?
Yeah.
No.
Come on, dude.
No,
fair
no.
match. You can't show up with a rocket launcher. How's that a fight?
But I found it in the map, dude.
Still, let's just actually do it. I'm at the zone where there's like a green lake.
Is there a bridge there?
Not that I can see.
Green Lake. Okay, I'll look for.
I see some spooky
Oh, wait.
trees.
Is
Oh
this,
yeah,
Is this it?
yeah, we're here. I don't see you though. Where you at?
Wait, I see you.
All right. Well,
Wait.
let's hold on. Is that you?
Oh no! What?
Get it on, dude.
All right, you ready? Hold on. You got to come out here where there's like sunlight.
You can't see.
Yeah, this is
Sunlight.
Dude, you already hit me. Hold up. Yeah, you're like dark and I'm light. This is not fair lighting.
Wait, did I run out of ammo? No.
All right, whatever. Game on. Wait, where'd you go?
Hold on.
Oh, there you are.
Get wrecked, dude.
She's throwing rockets at me. That's not fair.
Press E to respawn, dude.
Can
You should know that key already, dude.
Can you get your pistol
All
out,
right, I'll
please?
get my pistol.
All right. Now we're really gonna throw down. All right, tell me when you're ready.
All right, I'm gonna pick up that armor just in case.
That's not fair either, dude.
Just in case.
Am I even hitting you?
No. Okay, you
Oh,
got
there
me.
you go.
No, actually, you didn't get me. It was the green lake. So for some reason in Doom, there's a green lake that.
oh, I think I got you. Huh. Hold up. Oh, I stepped in the lake. Oh, shit.
How did that miss?
I know. I'm like in your grill, dude. Just shooting right at you. Oh, you hit me. Dude, am I not hitting you? Oh, I'm out of bullets.
Wreck, dude.
My hand just fist all of a
Superior.
sudden popped up.
He started fighting.
I didn't know you could run out of ammo. I would have been a little more tactical with my shots.
Yeah, you can't just like shoot forever, dude.
I wasn't aware. Damn. All right. Well, that's one round. Should we do one more?
One round. You died at least twice already.
No, that was the first like actual round. Now I don't know where I'm at, so.
Wait, I think I saw you. I see you, dude.
You see me? Hold on. Oh, you're cheating. This isn't fun anymore.
Damn, wreck, dude.
All right, I give up, dude. You just chased me.
Dude, you
away.
haven't killed me once, dude.
Well,
Not
'cause
even
it-
in the training rounds.
training rounds. I'm gonna blame it on my inferior computer.
Dude, you got like a M3 in there.
You probably have like an M6 or something. I don't know.
Negative. This is the good old 2020s, dude. M1 Max.
Really? Huh.
What do you mean, really?
I don't know. I thought you had a better one than me. All right, well, I
Well,
tried, dude. I'm
that's-
sorry to disappoint the world.
Yeah, I mean, it was completely expected.
Well, you're also older than me, so
Barely.
this was your game, right? Like this is my first time ever playing.
That's crazy.
I mean, we could try Call of Duty.
You
know?
Well, we'll try it once Call of Duty makes it onto track.
There we go. All right, Benny. There's the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, only sniper lobbies allowed.
What?
That's it. Yeah, that sounds fun. Then we'll really see who's about it. Actually, you know what? The best test will be Halo.
Halo on track?
Yeah, snipers only.
I mean, we're going to have to like practice with like keyboards and stuff.
No, we could just hook in the mouse and
That's
stuff.
true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we'll do that.
All right. Well, that was track. That was Doom. Yeah, we're going to be playing against Benny tomorrow. He thinks he can kill me. I don't know why he thinks that, but that's going to happen tomorrow. And
Well, good luck. Good luck for you. You know, I won't be aiding or assisting in any way, dude. I'll just be cheerleading for you. Hopefully, you could, muster some W's on our behalf. But
Yeah.
I predict a slaughtering fest. To be honest, I mean, look at Benny, dude. He's second on the leaderboard there.
yeah, I see him. Yeah, Benny's killed 22 people.
I don't know who First Blood is.
Yeah, I don't know either.
He's clearly addicted. Where are you at?
Oh, look at that. Will the Thrill has made it.
Oh my god, dude! I don't even have a single kill, do I?
No, 0.
That's embarrassing. Sorry, guys. Again, sorry to disappoint.
This is the global leaderboards. You're not on there.
I mean, I've only been playing for like 20 minutes, dude. Give me a break, Give me a break.
All right. Okay, guys. Well, that's it for us. We had another AI discussion. NAT is still churning. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of stuff happening with the NAT token that we can't really talk about.
Yeah, very
And
good things, right?
we got a lot of meetings. Yeah,
Very
they're good.
very good and interesting things. And then, yeah, there's some happenings recently that made me really I don't know, factor in the NAT future. I get specifically around debt relief bot. Remember that one?
Yes.
DRB.
Yep.
What
What does that have to do with NAT?
Well, it's just the if you open the chart and look at it, it's like a meme coin that was deployed on base that was one of the earlier utilizers of like the idea of fee direction
sure.
mechanics, and then
Sure.
the novelty of the application of that was, let's use the fees of this tradable token and direct it at Grok's wallet, right? And that was a big narrative at the time, which is like a year ago.
Yeah, Grok became a millionaire in like a couple of weeks.
No, he didn't. He almost, yeah, he like got to like 500, 400K, but it's been
Yeah.
about a year of a slog of that community just like really harping on that idea and that narrative and like this new use case for tokens. And then eventually they achieved millionaire status, but it took them a year of like hard work and diligence on the behalf of that community. And now what's the result of that? People with higher influence, I guess, like remember James Wynn?
Yes.
He took notice of it and is now like championing this narrative.
Okay.
And it went from 3 million market cap up to 30 million after after a year. So it's like, it's pretty cool to see, like, you know, these little forgotten about coins and projects still like maintaining their conviction, and like in the future, like some inflection point happens with their narrative and like what's happening about, and like, you know, market appreciation ensues, right? So
yeah, that's what I like about these internet capital markets, is that if you're a creator and you launch one of these things, I mean, you maintain relevancy through Twitter Spaces, making YouTube videos, whatever. And if something catches on, you have some vector of like monetization that is independent of Twitter and YouTube and things like that.
Right.
Which is very, very powerful.
Yeah.
And so I think that this is a long-standing sort of like business model that we will be taking advantage of with this new platform that's coming out.
Yeah, 100%. I think it makes too much sense. And then, yeah, just the idea of, you know, debt relief bot kind of presenting this opportunity, not just to Grok. It's like, okay, here's all this value we've kind of put together as a collective. Here it is, Grok. And then the hopes of it being, it's like, okay, Elon will one day take notice of that, maybe tweet about it. Maybe Grok starts to utilize some of these funds for whatever purpose, and then it really amplifies the value of the underlying token itself.
I mean, that's a real good flex for an AI that starts investing $1 million and, you know, multiplies it.
Hell yeah.
That's how you flex your AI.
Yeah, that's how you flex on Anthropic and everybody's like, I don't see your models making money.
No, absolutely not.
So that's the hope and dream, and like, but the act of, again, discovering some new vector of aggregating value and then directing it to some source for some hope of some greater good achievement. It's very parallel to what we've done with NAT, in the sense where it's like, we've figured out this new value accrual mechanism, the non-arbitrary production of new tokens through DMT and NAT, and we've directed that directly to the miners of the network securing Bitcoin in hopes that they would take notice of this thing, which they have, 60% of them, for some sort of greater good and achievement that, like, you know, once more people take notice of it, it's going to like produce a similar result as like Elon taking notice of Grok or debt relief bot. You know, once there's like an understanding of like Bitcoin and the value of it and like how much of it is at risk if these like problems aren't solved, and what NAT does to contribute to that. I mean,
it's inevitable. There's so many tailwinds where this is going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's the parallel of the community, like still having the conviction, which I see you guys out there every day.
Yeah.
And I know it's true, right? People, what is it? It hasn't even been like a full year yet, but we're getting close to where the miner redirect actually happened. And there's been a lot of volatility between that year, but still, it's like, obviously we're not at the full end end game goal that we're striving for.
Yeah, billion.
Yeah, billion plus. Like,
Yeah.
that is the goal for this year. But just to see the power of community, basically, and like being consistent.
We should make a 20-minute video about that. Like make the parallels.
Yeah, I thought about that too. We need to make it more clear, I guess. Like, I don't know, structure it a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay.
So shout out to the DRB community and of course the NAT community, because it's all about community at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Kind of like upholding the value of these things.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys, that's it for us. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and subscribe, like and subscribe, and we will catch you in the next podcast.
Peace.